you guys. It is day 3 of our 7-day breaking the chains from spirit of fear. And today we're going to be talking about power and how power can be used to overcome fear. And I'm really excited about this because this Bible plan has been opening up my eyes to different ways on how I can overcome my own fear. And I specifically want to come from um, my own personal problem, or something that I'm dealing with, which is feeling overwhelmed. I have a lot of anxiety attacks, and the number one feeling that I could describe it as is just an overwhelming feeling, like on my shoulders. And I saw one of my friend's Instagram posts this morning, and she was talking about how she felt overwhelmed and how there was a lot of things happening in life, and it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. And I tend to feel like that as well too, especially with my dreams and my goals and everything that I have happening in my life and the success that I want and I see for myself, and I know that I deserve, and that God has willed to me. And so I just want to go into this fasting day today, just reminding you guys that we're going to be using God's power and kind of reframing our mindset on that. And so I wrote down from the Bible plan, God's power, miracle working, healing, raising from the dead power, power over all principalities, powers and domains, power over every name that's named, is the power that's coming towards you right now. Resurrection power, that's the power I'm talking to you about that absolutely overcomes fear. And sometimes when I read the Bible, I find myself skimming, to be truthful, instead of taking in what things actually mean. Because, of course, we've all read this before. But whenever you put it in that context and you kind of sit back and realize that the Holy Spirit actually has power, and it has power to do with you. It's not just power that God has. It's not this power that Jesus has that he just willy-nilly used, but that's the same power that's in the Holy Spirit that when God died and put into us, that we have access to. And so I also wrote, you can lay hands on your own self and speak to your own body. You can say, I release this to your own self. I release the power of God to this part of my body. And I thought that was interesting, that you can lay hands on yourself and really just speak over yourself. And again, have that faith to speak that life and use that power over anything in your life. You can lay hands over anything in your life, whether it be physically or metaphorically, whether it be your dreams, whether it be your finances. Lately, I've been telling myself that money doesn't have power over me. It is just a tool that I utilize to benefit me in life. Even whenever I'm per se in debt, or whenever I am the most financially stable I've ever been, it doesn't hold power over me, because money comes just as fast as money goes. And so if I allow that to have power over me, instead of me taking it back and laying my hands on it and being like, I release this and I relinquish this. And again, I need God's power to kind of have control over money and have that self-control, because your girl always doesn't have it. Next, I wrote, it was all for you and me to get the power of God on the inside of us, not so we could just know about it, but that we could activate it. We could use it. And again, here goes my point, where we actually put this power to use. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, we could just simply touch our body, touch our anxiety, and reclaim that power back. And it sounds really silly. I feel like it sounds really silly, and it's like, okay. But I encourage you to try it one night. I feel like so often we crave connection and human connection and physical touch. Like chemically, that's what our body needs. It's scientifically proven. And if we give that to ourselves and we were able to, like I said, speak to ourselves and be able to make physical contact with ourselves, like how powerful is that? And you're not doing it in vain, you're doing it in the Holy Spirit. And if you believe that God is real, there will be true healing in that. And the next thing I wrote is, you are the one with the power, not fear. You are the one with the power, and you can say, you get out fear. You have that authority. Remind yourself today, as you go through the day, you have authority. And with authority comes power. And that power comes from the Holy Spirit. And it is given to us for free. So, some questions of the day are, have you ever considered the specific power of God before? Take a moment to think about some of the examples of God's power that she didn't mention, big or small. How does that awareness affect your view of your own abilities? And like I mentioned before, I didn't necessarily put this context of power into my own life, into my own fear, into my own anxieties. And I think the biggest use for this is my fear that I have for my future. And that's where anxiety kind of comes from. You're always worrying about the future instead of living in the present. And I want to be able to take my power back to be fully living in the present and not missing key moments and key opportunities that present itself, because essentially I am shaping my future by living in the present, and I'm missing out on that opportunity if I'm constantly thinking. And so I want to be able to focus on how I can use that power, reclaiming my power, speaking it out loud, and laying hands on myself and telling myself I have the power and I have what is the word I'm looking for? I just want to use the word excitement. I have the word excitement to live in the present. The gift. They always say that the present is a gift. And truly, I have the gift to live in the present. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. The next question is there something that you're struggling with? An injury, sickness, or anxiety? The Bible tells us that God's power is for us right now. So take a moment to declare that power over yourself and see what happens with your struggle. So I've been reading this book called Your Body is Your Brain. And it's a really great book. I recommend it to everyone. And I think I've talked about it on this page before, and it really talks about how your body tells you what you need to know before your brain even knows. So I say all that to say that I specifically struggle with my anxiety, and the great way that I'm able to reconnect with myself and ground myself is breathing exercises. And again, like it talks about laying your hands on yourself and being able to reclaim that power. And so I encourage you to find whatever it is that's going to ground you and remind you of God's power, whether it's music, whether that is getting on your knees and praying, whether that's talking to your friend that you can go to for some guidance, whatever it may be. Go find that power that you need, because we need some power. And I'll say this, I just got this revelation that if we need God's power to overcome fear, then think about how strong of a hold fear has over us. Like, that's really not daunting, because it's also encouraging that we have something to overcome it with. That because fear is this big giant, it's this big thing. And it's so big that we need God's power to overcome it, that we're not just stuck in that. And that's really nice to have. Really, really nice to have, especially as a Christian, where we're not just crippling and letting our fear take over us. So I want to do a slight breathing exercise with you guys. I'm going to put the actual where I actually got it from, because it's an actual breathing exercise. I'm going to put the link in the description for you guys. So let's get into this breathing exercise. You can sit on your couch and you put your palms of your hands on your knees. And then essentially, you breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 6, in, out, 5, 6, hold, in, 3, 4, out, 6, hold, 2, in, 4, out, 5, 6, hold, 2, in, 4, out, 5, 6, hold. And then one big breath out. Gosh, I feel a little lighter already, and as I was doing it. Usually when I do this fully, my chest releases and it opens, and I felt like one time I could really feel my heart. And I actually cried. And also there's a lot of oxygen being taken in that our bodies aren't used to. But for the first time, I didn't realize how blocked my heart was, and how much I was protecting it, and how much my body was protecting it. And when I felt it just clear for the first time and open, I could just feel it like beating, and it feels like it's a part of me again, instead of my heart being distant, instead of it having to be healed, instead of it having to be protected. I just kind of accepted it and took it in, because I feel like that was the first time in a long time, maybe in my life, who knows, that I was just able to feel my itty bitty heart. So I hope that today's message encouraged you guys, and I love you. And I will see you guys again soon for day 4. Bye.